about school, avoid talking about school too much, or wait until the end of the summer is near. And then you can, then because they're going to get nervous during the summer. So things to keep in mind when we are getting near what you could be doing over the summer. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Paulette. And again, we were able to gather this information from years of interacting with families and helping them to transition from pre-K to kindergarten. And we also received assistance from NACE, which is the National Alliance for the Education of the Young Child or Young Children. One of the other things that we want to share with you is that we know that at the pre-K level, we have a lot of support for families. And we want you to know that as a district, parents matter. And so you will continue to receive quality support in kindergarten from your building parent liaison. So when you find out where your child will be attending kindergarten next year, make sure to ask for the name of your building's parent liaison. You know, Paulette talked about some of the skills to develop or work on over the summer. And one of those skills was read aloud to your child. We know that reading builds vocabulary, which is the foundation for all subject areas. And one of the ways that we want you to do that is by utilizing the Monroe County Library System. We know that we were able to make sure that each pre-K family that wanted devices, tablets, receive them. And on those tablets, we have an app that will give you access to the library system. Watch this video to hear all about this wonderful resource, Monroe County Library. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Parent Power Moments. I'm excited today. Just a reminder, I'm Benita Williams, one of the adult family educators for the Early Childhood Department of the Rochester City School District. And today I am excited to welcome once again back to Parent Power Moments, none other than Tanya Burton, Children's Service Consultant for the Monroe County Library System. Welcome, Tanya.
Thank you, Bonita. I'm so happy to be here. What a great introduction.
Tanya, as you know, our pre-K students have learning devices. They have tablets.
Yeah.
And on those tablets, we have an app called Sora. And that is an app that will give them access to the children's library system. And so what I would like for you to do today is to help us, me, other parents, to learn how to use that app and what will we gain from that app? What are the resources that we will be able to access?
Sure. So first, I'm really excited that now RCSD and the library are connected with our ebooks. So it can be a little bit confusing. So I'm going to try to make it as easy as possible. So Sora is the app on the student's tablets right here. When you get into your Rock Connect, you will see the library research tab, and you're going to click on that. And when you get into that, then you click on the overdrive box.
Us, me, other parents, to learn how to use that app and what will we gain from that app? What are the resources that we will be able to access?
Sure. So first, I'm really excited that now RCSD and the library are connected with our ebooks. So it can be a little bit confusing. So I'm going to try to make it as easy as possible. So Sora is the app on the students' tablets right here. When you get into your Rock Connect, you will see the library research tab, and you're going to click on that. And when you get into that, then you click on the Overdrive box. Overdrive is the company that provides e-content, electronic content, to all of the libraries. And with Overdrive, there is the Sora, there's two apps, the Sora app, which is for students, and then the Libby app, which is for anyone not accessing through a school district. And we'll talk about Libby later. But now I want to focus on Sora. So all of the devices should already have the Overdrive app. And when you go in, you want to make sure that you're going to select the Rochester City School District and add on a library. When you go into add on a library, as you can see on the screen, you're going to type in your zip code, whatever it is, and it will pop up different libraries. Now, your tablets, I believe, are already connected to the city school district, but you want to add Monroe County libraries to your kid's device. And the reason you want to do that is because it will give you access to over 40,000 titles for your kids and teens.
Okay. All right, Tanya. Just want to recap really quick. So on the device, once parents get into Rock Connect, they will see so they will see the header, library, and research. So look for that first. When they see that.
Yep, click on library and research.
Okay.
And then when you get into that, you're going to look for the Overdrive little symbol, the little O, and click on Overdrive.
Awesome.
Then when Overdrive opens for the first time, it should look like this. And you want to add the Monroe County Library System to it. So you just type in a zip code, a Rochester zip code, and Monroe County Library System will come up, and you click on that.
Okay.
And then that's going to give you access to our collection and the city school district collection. And you don't have to go back and forth. It'll just all be there for the kids.
Wow. Okay.
Now, this, I believe, has already been done on the tablets.
Mm-hmm.
So when accessing Sora, you don't have to worry about your kids getting access into any inappropriate adult content.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, because Sora already sorts all of that out and will only give access to children and teen materials. So they could have access to young adult materials. So you still have to be careful. Just like if you bring your kids into the library looking at books, you still want to make sure that you're helping them select things that are appropriate for your family. So here, again, you can change the language if you want to whatever your first language is. When you sort by audience, it is always going to go back to children and teen materials, whatever you select on there. So even if you select it to adult, it's still, when you're in Sora, not going to give you access to adult materials. It doesn't matter what you select there, so you don't have to worry about that. In the second box, you can sort by just available books. You can make that your default. And what that means is that's only going to show you books that are available right now.
Oh.
Now, popular titles, you may need to put a hold on. And a hold it could take anywhere from a couple hours to several weeks to get. Okay. But if you want something right now, you just finished your book, you need something, click available, your language, and then search for a book, and it will find it. So let's say you want to read Hair Love. So you type that in, you type that title in, and it's going to give you 3 different selections right now. It's going to give you, the first selection to the left is Hair Love by Matthew A. Cherry, and it just says add to list, read a sample, or borrow. That is going to be the actual picture book, the electronic book that you will read yourself.
Okay.
The one in the middle is the same book, but if you see the headphones underneath it, that means it's an audio book, so you can listen to that book.
Oh, wow. Okay, so anytime we see headphones,
Yep, that means
we
it's
can,
audio.
that the kids can put in the headphones and listen. Okay.
Yep. And so it'll read it to you, which can be great. And then, so for this one, it also came, bedtime bonnet also popped up because that has to do with hair too. So you just click on borrow on the title, the selection that you want. Your computer is going to ask you if you want to download it to the Sora app. You're going to click yes, and it'll pop right up for you.
Wow. Tanya, this is amazing because what you're telling us today is that parents with that tablet, that pre-K tablet that they have in their hands, they have access to over 40,000 books. Yeah. And it's right at their fingertips. Of course, we want them to come to the library if they're able. However, if they're not, they can still experience the library with their children right at home or in the park, in the car. So they can take the library with them wherever they go.
Ready, set. Where's Chris Ann? Go. Hi, everybody. I'm Jamie Shank. I'm a kindergarten teacher. I'm currently at the World of Inquiry. However, for the past 22 years, I've also been at number 12 school, number 42, 57, and I started my career at 41 school.
Hi, my name is Chris Ann Collins. I am presently at Enrico Army School number 17. I am presently teaching kindergarten. I was teaching pre-K there, and with COVID, I was moved to kindergarten. So just like your child, I was able to transition from pre-K to K this year. I have about 20 years in the district as well. So I'm very excited to share all the joys that we learned in kindergarten this year.
So Chris Ann and I got together. We kind of made a list of some things that we thought you'd be able to enjoy with your child doing over the summer. But the first thing that we really felt was important to emphasize to you is really the importance of this equation that we have at the top. Parent plus child plus teacher equals success. There's just no way around that. And I know that although we've been virtual for most of this year, so you probably have had pretty consistent access to your child's teacher via Zoom. When we transition into school, teacher access looks a little different in kindergarten than it does in pre-K. There's typically only one teacher in the classroom, and we generally have 22, 23, sometimes 24, 25 children with our one teacher. So chatting at the door is something we love to do, but can't always do it because we have children in the classroom. However, you should always have access to your kindergarten teacher, whether they provide you their cell phone number. You should definitely have their email. You have access to the phone at school to leave them a message, in the main office, stop in the main office, write them a note. Please stay connected to your child's teacher. It may be a little bit more difficult to really connect with them face to face the way you may be accustomed to, but that's no excuse. Do reach out to them when you have a question, a comment, a concern, a success, a worry. That's why we're here, because we need to hear all those. So that's really important. We wanted to start off with saying that. We are really hoping masks won't be necessary in September, but at this point right now, they still are. So we are encouraging you to practice mask wearing with your children, especially if they have been remote all year. There are mask breaks built into the day, and now we don't need the masks outside. However, it's still a long day at school wearing a mask. So please practice that. And practice having your child say their first and their last name. So upon arrival at school with confidence, they can declare who they are.
And I'm going to also piggyback on Bonito and Paulette, who encouraged reading. As kindergarten teachers, we are so excited to have your child hold a book in their hand and be ready to go. We're all ready to start kindergarten. But you don't have to start just at the library. You can also build reading with your child while you're in the car. Suppose you're driving along and you're starting to see stop signs and street signs. Have your child start telling you where to go, in a sense that they can point to the words and read the signs. It's exciting and fun. And another way you can read is have your child use index cards. And when I say index cards, you can easily label them and label your home. Now, it sounds silly, but putting the word BED on their bed is a great place to start. And then they connect the item with the word. And that will tie into the rituals of reading before you go to sleep. Routine, routine, routine. It's fabulous to have routine and make sure they're in bed on time and ready to start the day. And end it with a nice book. Have a little cuddle. So not just using your iPads anymore, because we've had a whole year of that, cuddle with them. And it's a great experience to be able to read with them and read the environments as well. So index cards are a fabulous way to put also alphabet letters on. You can put them on individual cards, the letters, and flash them because they know the song in order. But how about if you shuffle them up like cards and place them? You could put them on the floor and throw a beanbag or a ball or a toy, and they have to tell you what letter they threw it at. So another way is also putting magnetic letters on your refrigerator and have them match the index card to that magnet on the refrigerator. So there's wonderful ideas for you to start encouraging them. School is a celebration, and so is learning to read. So make it a fun task.
So in addition to those sort of academic pieces, if you will, I use air quotes because they really focus on letter identification, number identification, and reading. We're going to touch a bit on the importance of motor development. So upon entering kindergarten, I'm sure your pre-K teachers have talked to you about this as well. We have two kind of motor sets. We have fine motor, which involves our hands, our wrists, kind of how we hold ourselves up with our core, and gross motor, which is like our running, our climbing, our throwing. So Christiana and I have some suggestions on activities for you to do with your pre-K child this summer. And the first one, you may say, well, board games, why are board games included in fine motor activities? And in fact, things like picking up the die, using their working fingers, if your game includes die, picking them up with these working fingers is strengthening their fine motor skills. And if there are cards involved, when they have to flip over a card, this is another great activity for strengthening their wrist muscles, which are really important as they begin to do more writing in kindergarten. Nuts and bolts, very inexpensive at Home Depot or probably already in your garage. Just twisting them and untwisting them, twisting them and untwisting them. Again, using their working fingers. My favorite though is this ripping paper up. So it's going to get messy. So you have to be patient, but give your child old magazines, newspapers, junk mail, whatever you've got to recycle, and have them rip it up. Again, they're going to use their working fingers and they're going to rip, rip, rip as much as they can, as much as you have for them to rip. So they've got this huge mess all across their living room, but now they're going to bend over. Don't have them squat down, really like bend over to pick up all those pieces. And we want them to squeeze it into a tight ball. Squeeze as hard as they can, make that ball tight, 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 tight. And look at all these muscles they're using in doing that in their hand and their wrist and their fingers. And then you're going to have them toss it into the recycle bin so they can practice their hand-eye coordination, and voila, the mess is cleaned up. And you are suddenly the coolest caretakers on the planet because you let them make that big old mess. So any activity that you can use these muscles for, Play-Doh, the ripping up, the nuts and bolts, drawing, coloring, hit it.
And how about a visit to the playground? What a great place to start your child for outside activity. Believe it or not, the gross motor, which she's talking about, our upper body, is just as important for writing as the fine motor. When I say gross motor, that means your upper body. I know this is a challenge for you, but I am now 58 and I did push-ups with my kindergartners this year because we were building our upper body muscles. The upper body muscles help the children have better posture when they were writing. And boy, was that a lot of fun. And how about outside? If they can get up to that top climbing bar, let them go. Because if they can get up, they can get down. Let them have a challenge. Let them be a risk taker. Climbing up is so wonderful for their upper body muscles. And they've been sitting in front of a computer for a very long time. Let's get them out. How about when they're on the swing? Let them pump. You don't ask, they'll probably ask you to push them because that's what they asked me all year this year. And I said, oh, I think you can do this all by yourself. There's nothing better than seeing a child's face glow and smile when they know how to swing all by themselves. Encourage them forward and back, forward and back. And they can have legs straight and bend. The amount of vocabulary, saying words, let them just have a great time outside. How about when they go down the slide? I don't know, but sometimes children go on their tummies. Why not? Again, this is great formation for their bellies. And then they're getting that upper posture again. Let them slide down on their tummies. So enjoy being outside and let them run and play. They love tag and I'm always it. So that was a great activity outside, is chasing and running and having a good time.
So we really just want to remind you to enjoy your 4-year-old, your 5-year-old. It is really a magical time of year. It's why I love teaching kindergarten. And just give them the gift of your time. It's a gift of time to them, and really enjoy the process and take a deep breath as your child enters kindergarten, and trust that your kindergarten teacher is going to pick your baby up right where they are and take them to where they need to go. So don't stress about what they know and are they ready. Trust your kindergarten teacher to know that your child will be ready however you present them to us. So thanks so much. Best of luck. Please do reach out to either of us if you need anything.
And I'd have to say too, the gift of time is also making sure that you stay in touch with your child's teacher, just like we were saying earlier. The gift of time can also refer to is your child. Suppose you went to a birthday party and everybody was turning 1. At that party, you may see a child still crawling. You might see a child just creeping, and then you might even have a walker in that party. So think of that environment just like your child's classroom. There's going to be children who are just starting to crawl. There's going to be children who are just getting upright and ready to go. And then there might even be some who are already upright and ready to go in a different way. We are well aware of that. So be gentle on yourself and enjoy your child. Watch them grow with us. Thank you.
Mr. Rivera, Jason Rivera.
Yes, hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Jason Rivera. I work with the Office of Student Placement and Equity with Dr. Joseph Capizzuto, which is our director there. And I am here today to kind of give some information on the important piece on registering your student for kindergarten for next school year, which is one of the main pieces and essential pieces to get the ball rolling. So on step one of the essential pieces, what we have done this year due to COVID is try to transition and help things for our families that can't get to our office. This is a webpage or a link here at rcsdk12.org/enroll. If you go to this link directly, this will take you to our main page, giving you access to all of our links for your registration paperwork for kindergarten, and also as well for your school of choice application, which is essential to select your schools in which you would want your child to go to. So step one would be by visiting the Rochester City School District K12.org/enroll. The second piece would be to fill out a school of choice application, which is based according to where you reside at. If you visit the Rochester City School District.org/page 34744, we're trying to get that link renamed for everyone. But if you were to go to that link directly, it would actually take you to the direct school of choice application page where parents are able to see a PDF of the application, along with our registration information as well. Parents have access through this system to be able to do everything online. So parents would use Adobe Reader. It would we actually have a link on the registration packet where parents can access that link to download Adobe Reader and being able to fill everything out on your smartphone or on your computer, and then submit everything to the student registration department. So that would be step 2. For those parents that do not know what zone they're in based on their address, please email us at studentregistration@Rochester City School District K12.org, or give us a call at 262-8241, where we have staff there ready to answer any questions you may have. Let me see. So step 1, registration paperwork. Step 2 would be to fill out the school of choice application. And then step 3 would be for those students that have not attended a pre-K program with the district. For those that have, we do have your birth certificates in our system, and we have been working very closely with pre-K and early childhood to kind of help transition certain pieces of the registration process for our families to make it more seamless and easier. But for those that did not go to a pre-K program, we would need the student's birth certificate along with the parent ID and then proof of address. For proof of address, we could use a pay stub, our G&E bill, any type of mail with the parent's name and that current address. And once we get the registration packet filled out, the school of choice application, and then we take photos of the student birth certificate, parent ID, and proof of address, you can email everything to studentregistration@Rochester City School District K12.org, or you can drop it off down at 131 West Broad Street, 14614. For those that are dropping off, we do have a drop box due to COVID rules. Parents are only allowed to come in to pick up paperwork and submit paperwork. But for those parents that want to stay with no contact, we have a drop box off. So feel free to come on down to 131 West Broad Street and drop that registration off. Any questions in regards to school of choice, the placement process, letters being given out, email us, give us a call. We're there and ready to answer any of your questions.
Good evening. Good evening, families. My name is Erin Groutman. I am the coordinator of Student Health Services. I'm here tonight to talk about health services, but before I do, I just wanted to let you know from experience, I have a kindergartner. She's graduating this year. It's a very special time. It's an exciting time. She just lost her second front tooth. So she's got that funny face. And just like the teacher said, really spend time watching them. They grow so much this year and it's really magical. So I just want to share some information about important health service topics that you need to know about. So immunizations, all students need to be fully vaccinated prior to starting school. Kindergarten is one of those years where they need additional vaccines. So if your child hasn't been to the doctor's office this past year, please make an appointment this summer so in the fall they'll be ready to start. Students do have 14 calendar days from the first day of school if they are missing a vaccine, but it is important to act on it now because a lot of doctors' offices get filled up. So please call your physician and make sure that they get in for that physical and any vaccines they needed. So physicals are also required in kindergarten. So please, again, call your physician. If you need assistance with getting a physical, the school nurse can assist you in working through resources to help you find out where you can easily get a physical, set you up with a doctor's office, insurance, anything you need. So please use the school nurse as a resource. The final topic I wanted to talk about is screenings. All pre-K and K students are screened in vision, hearing, speech, and motor, at some point during the school year. If there's any concerns during that screening, the teacher or nurse will reach out to you to discuss any further assessments that are required. And finally, I just want to make sure that you all know the school nurse would love to hear from you. Build a relationship with her. If you know your child, gets tummy aches when they're anxious, please let her know. If your child has any chronic conditions, please let the school nurse know. We want to make sure we have documentation of any of those chronic conditions in case they mimic any signs or symptom of COVID. If we have some documentation on file, you may not need to get a COVID test. So please make sure that you communicate with the school nurse and you build that relationship just like you would the teacher, so we can make sure that all of our students in our environment is healthy and safe. And I think if there were any questions, we're going to take them now.
Are there any questions? If there aren't, we'll move on to the next slide.
Hi everyone, how are you? I'm Stacy Darby. I'm the coordinator of environmental health and safety. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about what we know so far for precautions regarding COVID for the 21-22 school year. This is the most recent information we have as of June 7th. And is with everything with COVID, as we learn more, as we know more, as more people become vaccinated, as vaccines open up to more and more age groups, some of this changes. But as of right now, we have masking. Everyone has to stay masked when they're inside and when on buses. They'll be masked at pretty much all times, except for when they're eating or drinking. When they're eating or drinking, they'll be 6 feet away from each other instead of 3. Masking is optional when adults and students are outside. So it's totally fine if you want your kindergartner to stay masked outside, but please make sure you let the school know that you'd like them to stay masked when they're outside. Cohorted students, which basically means kindergartners, any group of students that can stay together in a classroom group as opposed to changing classes like older kiddos, will be distanced at 3 feet from each other, except for when they're eating, drinking. If they're participating in vocal music where they're really using that big voice to sing, they'll sing in class all the time. That's not the kind of singing that we're talking about. They can still do that kind of singing. PE, if they're playing a wind instrument, which probably won't be the case for our kindergartners, but if they are doing anything like that, they wouldn't be able to do that unless they're 6 feet apart. And then any other activity that requires a mask to be removed. Students that can't be cohorted, which would be our older students in this case, may have to be separated by 6 feet depending on the infection rate in the county. We're going to continue to disinfect all of our common surfaces and objects. There's going to be an emphasis on frequent, proper hand hygiene. Something else that's really important for parents to do every day before your kiddo leaves for school is to take their temperature and make sure that it's not over 99.9, and make sure that they have no signs of COVID or symptoms of COVID. And those symptoms of COVID right now include a runny nose, a headache, a stomach ache, diarrhea, vomiting, sore throat. I know that I'm missing some of them, loss of taste or smell. If they do have loss or taste of smell or a fever, any of your other children in the house wouldn't be able to go to school either that day. And please contact your school right away to let them know that your children or child has symptoms, so that we can make sure that proper contact tracing goes on if it needs to. And if your child does have a symptom, as of right now, they will have to have a COVID test prior to coming back to school. So just like Erin talked about, if your child has a known condition, For example, my son has migraines, and it's a known condition. He gets them from too much screen time, ironically, and they happen right over his one side of his head, and that's a documented condition for him. One side of his eye, I should say. That's a documented condition for him. So when he gets those, if he goes down to the school nurse and it matches those symptoms, he's not going to be sent home for a COVID symptom. Now, if he had a headache that was different, took his whole head, back of the head, somewhere else, they would send him home, but not for his specific symptoms. So that I did want to share that as well. And again, this is just a brief overview. There'll be more specifics on the entire plan available for you and your family to review, especially once we have updated guidance from the state for the 21-22 school year. And if anyone has any questions at this point on COVID precautions, I can take them now.
Thank you, Stacy. There are no questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mhm. Dr. Fay.
Ready? Hi, I'm Dr. Karen Fay, Director of ELA and Reading in the Rochester City School District. I'm going to share some important things you can do with your children to help them build literacy skills to be kindergarten ready as they transition to our kindergarten program. I'm just going to add or build onto some of the literacy suggestions made by Ms. Williams, Ms. Vaccaro, Ms. Burton from the library system, Ms. Shank, and Ms. Collins, our kindergarten teachers, earlier this evening. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is writing and helping your children grip a pencil or a crayon or a marker correctly with the thumb and forefinger supporting the tip. You can help your children practice writing letters, especially the letters in his or her name. Teach your children how to write their name with an uppercase letter first and then the remaining letters in lowercase. Writing in shaving cream in the bathtub, or salt and sugar in a cake pan, or finger paint, and helping them practice that way is more fun and multisensory. You can also air write to make letters or use Play-Doh, which is a little bit less messy. For reading readiness, we're going to talk about sharing books and stories with your children. Read with them and to them whenever possible. This will help your little ones realize that what you're saying is represented on a page and will build what is known as print awareness, and that symbols on a page represent words and that words have meaning. When you're reading, run your fingers under the words as you read to your children to help them learn that words go from left to right in English and from top to bottom. It's always fun to play games with rhyming words and help your children hear similar sounds in words. So as you're going up the stairs, you might name one word that rhymes with cat for each step, or you can share nursery rhymes or simple songs. The next piece is about letter recognition, and to identify some letters of the alphabet, play games with your kids to recognize letters in their names and some of the letters of the alphabet, also names of their good friends, early learning about mom, dad, short words that they can recognize. The next piece is beginning sounds. Make sure that your children are aware of the sound that each letter makes, and you can find items around the house that begin with the same sound and identify that letter that makes each sound. Overemphasize the sound of the word to help your children hear the individual sounds in words. The next piece is around environmental print, and I heard Ms. Shank and Ms. Collins talk about this a little bit, to recognize some common sight words like stop on stop signs, and also to recognize logos and names of their favorite places. I have an illustration on the slide about Wegmans. Very little children will even recognize that, or the golden arches in McDonald's. They'll begin to recognize that and some of the names and recognize letters in their favorite places. In terms of speaking and listening, make sure that you ask your children questions and to teach turn taking in conversation, but to also ask questions about stories that you've read or movies that you've watched, right? Why do you think that character did that? Or how do you think that character felt when that happened? Make sure that you're talking to them about understanding, comprehension, and also digging a little bit deeper into those inferences, where kids are going to make inferences or conclusions about what they just read or saw that wasn't explicitly there. The next piece is about introducing new vocabulary, which is a fun thing to do. I also heard them mention putting the names of bed on the bed, just naming things around the word and making it fun to learn literacy.
All right. Good evening, everybody. I'm Michaela Paco. I'm the math director for kindergarten through 12. So the babies are coming from pre-K to kindergarten. I would like to introduce a couple of things that you can do with your babies at home at this point to just develop that sense of number sense and counting, and also to develop a sense of shapes and sizes. So although we have kind of identified in bullets different things that you could potentially be working with your babies at home, some of the good ways to think about while you're spending time with them is counting the smiles and the hugs that the child is giving you or you're giving to your child, right? And keeping that in a positive note. We would expect them as they're getting ready for kindergarten to be able to count up. So then you would see that connection that they are building between the words and the quantities, what they represent. So as I will put, count your steps toward the house, into the playground, and so on. So count away, count inside, count everything. And then the other part, the second portion of it is we are hoping that the students, like your child, will continue to develop a sense of awareness about the shapes and the sizes, right? So some things are rounded, they're circular, and some things are not, right? Some objects are like a square, they've got edges and sides. So try to help your child develop that sense of describing different shapes, right? How they are and how they see the world around them. I think that will be, those two things will be the most important and most critical as they are developing their sense of mathematics and getting ready for kindergarten. So again, for us in our realm in the area of mathematics, as you're getting them ready, just practice counting as much as you can with them. Up to 20 will be perfect. And then also try to identify shapes and then sizes of those shapes that they can see and they can describe. Right, so that was it for math.
Thank you. Maureen?
Maureen, you have to unmute yourself.
Hi, everybody. I'm sorry about that. I thought I was unmuted. My name is Maureen Divine Lorenzo. I'm one of the social workers working in the early childhood department. We do have other social workers in our department, and we are available for providing any kind of resources to our families. But as we're taking a look at preparing our 4-year-olds for kindergarten this coming year, there are some important skills that are related to the child's social emotional development. And this is one area that is not necessarily taught out of any textbook. And these are the skills that we learn as we're interacting with one another at home, with siblings, with family members, and within the community at large. So these are some of the skills that we really rely on families to help us master with our children. Some of the things that are very important for any kindergartner coming to school is to be able to use their communication skills and their abilities to practice expressing themselves verbally. So we have many little ones who may feel very frustrated or even a little bit shy and quiet as we're starting the kindergarten year off. And that's expected. And all of our teachers, our wonderful kindergarten teachers, will be ready to provide that emotional support. But it's also important to encourage our little ones to use their language skills to let our staff know when they need to go to the restroom, to let the staff know if they're not feeling well. if they're having any kind of difficulties. So we like to make sure that our children have the ability to share their own feelings and understand that other people have feelings too. There is a lot of social skill building that happens in kindergarten, and over the next few months, there's a lot of things that you can do at home to help foster ongoing lessons in this area. Some of the things that can be done at home is encouraging children to be good friends with one another. And these lessons are wonderful for teaching people to be kind with one another, how to be cooperative with one another, playing games, all of that. Social interaction is a wonderful opportunity to help our children learn these social skills of being good friends. Every action can be a teachable moment. So helping our children to follow instructions, use their words when they need to share how they're feeling, and asking questions is going to be helpful. And there are plenty of books available about feelings and emotions that will be readily available at the library. I'm sure you can find these things on PBS Kids. That's another great resource for you. So feel free to spend some time in the library looking at some of the stories, and you'll be able to work with your children to help them master their social emotional skills and give them an opportunity to start kindergarten off strong. Have a great summer and enjoy every moment of this precious time. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Miss Marill is not here today, so I will be reporting out for her. This is our transportation department. So it involves your child being bused to and from school. So the following guidelines are set forth by the New York State Department of Health. This information is constantly changing. The specifics of the following items may be found at www.rcsdk12.org/reopens on the transportation page of our main website. So the following individuals participate in our transportation for your child during kindergarten. We have school bus staff, and sometimes you'll find a school bus matron as well as the bus driver on the bus. There is social distancing on the bus. The expectation is students will have masks and protective equipment on the bus. So staff as well as students will have that. Hygiene, cleaning, and ventilation are done on the bus. So the buses are cleaned all the time. There's great ventilation, and that is ensured by the individuals who provide maintenance for the buses. Training and education is also provided all the time for all transportation staff, for bus matrons, for bus drivers. And the services are contracted. So depending on your child, if they're a special needs child or if they're a general education child attending school. Thank you. I believe this is our last slide. I am also speaking on behalf of Ms. Khadijah Muhammad, who is the Director of Parent Engagement. Office of Parent Engagement, OPE, supports parent liaisons and homeschool assistants. And they are provided with professional development to support parents and parent groups. You will find parent liaisons in elementary schools, and they support kindergarten students. Homeschool assistants usually support our high school students. Also, we have district-wide parent organizations. We have our PLAC, we call our Parent Leadership Advisory Council. We have our Bilingual Educational Council and our Special Education Advisory Council. And all of these parent groups, district-wide parent groups are open to you as parents. You are welcome to join any one of these councils to continue to advocate for your child and also to find out about systems, procedures, and processes that take place within the city school district to help you understand how to navigate while your child is attending school buildings and a part of our school district. We also have an amazing school-based planning team, and we are always looking for parent representatives for every school where your voice is heard at the school community level, at the building level. So we have parents on school-based planning team. We also have parent-teacher organizations, parent-teacher associations known as PTO or PTA, or we just have parent groups. So your voice is needed and is welcomed in every school. We also have Parent University in the Office of Parent Engagement, where you can take workshops and trainings, computers, and so many other trainings. So feel free to call 324-9999 or email parentcenter@rcsdk12.org. Or you can follow the social media platforms at RCSD Parents. Feel free to join the mailing list, by clicking the button on the Facebook page, but you can also join the parent listserv by calling 324-9999 and speaking to the Secretary, Michaela Wall. Thank you for your time and attention. We are now opening up for questions for parents if you have any. Yes, Ms. Williams.
Yes, Ms. Thomas, I just wanted to take an opportunity while we're waiting on the questions from parents to share that tonight we shared with Tanya Burton how parents are able to access e-content, electronic content using for their students on their tablet. We also created a video that teaches parents how to access electronic content for themselves. And we will be posting that video tomorrow with Chandler on our pre-K website.
Awesome. We are excited to hear that you will be posting the access for teachers for the electronic books in the library. Awesome. Well, we do have some questions we'd like to ask, so I have them here. The first question would be, how do pairs and TST support the transition to kindergarten? How do they advocate for preschool students during this process? Is Kelly available to share?
Yep,
Okay.
I'm right here.
All right, thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kelly Holborn. I'm a technical support teacher with the Early Childhood Department. So in my role, my job really is to support classroom teachers. And in doing that, with supporting the classroom teachers, they're really the most vital component for helping these kids transition to kindergarten. So in my role, what we do is we provide lots of opportunity for professional development for those classroom teachers in order to teach them how to establish really strong relationships with those parents. So we're kind of that connecting piece of providing that development for them so they know how to do so going forward.
Awesome. Thank you, Kelly. We appreciate you and thank you for coming and joining us today.
No problem.
All right. Next question. How many students are in a kindergarten classroom in regards to the pandemic? So how many students will there be? And maybe one of our kindergarten teachers can answer this question.
So Contractually, we can have up to 28 children, I believe. And if our grade level average gets to 28, then we are provided a paraprofessional to support us that we divide between the classrooms. I'm not sure. This actually might be a better question for Miss Darby, because if we are to maintain the 6 feet distancing while unmasked, for example, at World of Inquiry, we eat breakfast in our classroom. So it would depend on the size of the classroom.
Okay.
If we are moving forward planning based upon those assumptions. So I think it would really vary from school to school based on the size of the classroom and how many children can fit within that 6 feet parameter. And we are at desks because of COVID.
Okay, great, great. I think there's some more questions here for you all. Will students participate in cultural field trips?
I guess I'm not exactly sure how cultural would be defined. And again, that's going to vary from school to school. The World of Inquiry, we're an expeditionary learning school, so we do go on a lot of field studies in the community. But I would certainly hope so. And again, back to COVID, I'm not sure what the regulations will be for next year for field studies and field trips.
And I know this year I actually wrote a grant and received one from the museum, and they did a virtual field trip for our classroom. So there is other options for us to do that as well to incorporate the cultures as too.
Great. So I think what they mean by cultural, meaning, exposure to art and music and dance and just other things that our students may or may not have had a chance to experience. So I think that's what that was.
Sure. So we actually have a program called Tiny Tots, affiliated with the Rochester Philharmonic, and they put on a special performance just for kindergarteners. It's typically held in the spring. So the kindergarteners get to experience a Rochester Philharmonic Orchestra, but it's geared toward them. So the conductor introduces instruments and the children get to hear them, each played individually. They talk about the loud and the quiet, and it's a great experience for the kindergarteners.
Awesome, awesome. Let's see what our next question is. Is the curriculum culturally responsive?
Well, I'd have to say that in the curriculum, right now we're using the My View reading series, and there's been a little diversity as far as in the pictures and the books. And also it was our job then to incorporate and pull in more diversity as well.
Okay. All right, Karen, do you want to speak to that as well? Thank you, Ms. Collins.
Yes, and thank you. And we are working very closely with SAVIS to make sure that we're getting feedback from our teachers and from our parents about how they feel about the new program and if they feel it's culturally responsive. We are giving that feedback to SAVIS, and they're taking it back to their program development team. We are also encouraging teachers, as Ms. Collins just suggested, to supplement with more culturally relevant texts if they feel like the texts in there aren't culturally relevant. But please know that we are taking feedback from parents and teachers and taking it to SAVIS, to their program development team. And they are making some adjustments to the program.
Okay, great. All right, let's look at some more questions here.
Could I just add on one piece to that question?
Sure.
This is a great opportunity for families to reach out to their classroom teacher and with a suggestion like, hey, I've noticed a lot of these books are whatever, or I came across this awesome resource I wanted to share with you, or do you know about this organization in our community? This is a perfect opportunity, which teachers love to hear. Like, we are always learning and always open for those suggestions.
Awesome, Ms. Shank. I love that. I love that. Yeah. Ms. Paco, did you want to share anything?
Just really quickly for mathematics, for kindergarten, we have groups of teachers from RCSD that are working and supplementing to enrich and enhance the curriculum. But we continue to always get any feedback from the parents and other supporting staff that we have in the buildings. But I know that this is our product at this point, so the teachers in the district are developing and enriching it for our babies. So we are very proud of the work that they have been doing. So
Great, great. Thank you all for your feedback. Let's see what the next question is. Are all cultures celebrated? Did anyone want to speak to that? What things do you do in your classroom to celebrate cultures and special moments throughout the year? I think our kindergarten teachers may do a lot of talking here. You guys are definitely
here for
on the
it.
spotlights.
I really think the beauty of the positive part of being online was being in the children's home. And so a lot of things were brought up when we were teaching. They might share a religion they have, or they might share something that they were eating, and they actually came to the camera and would share things with us as well. So I thought that was pretty exciting. And yes, I actually text each parent when it comes to holidays and celebrations and what they want to have covered as well. So it depends on the audience and who's in your classroom at the time. And that's how I approach the cultural diversity too.
Thank you, Ms. Collins. Yes.
Yeah, and it's an all year. I mean, there are a lot of moments to celebrate throughout our year. I can say personally within our classroom, last year, all of my kindergartners knew Simone Biles, and this they saw me in the hall. They're like, "Did you see Simone Biles in the news again?"
I love it.
Right, like moments to celebrate like that. And my view does have a pretty diverse group of authors that write the stories in the student interactives. So we've taken some time to look for where they are from on maps, so the children are seeing that people from all over the world, like them, are authors and writing stories.
Wonderful, wonderful. Ms. Faye, did you want to speak to that, Dr. Faye?
No, I think Jamie said it best. I think that we knew when we adopted a program that would be from a large publishing company that we were going to have some work to do in terms of culture responsive feedback for them. But they do have a diverse team of authors, and they've chosen some pretty diverse literature. And I love that they look on the globe to see where the authors are from and that they connect the authors to the students. I thought that was great. Thanks, Jamie.
Awesome, awesome. All right, let's see what our next question is here. How can I participate at the school level? So I'll give this to our kindergarten teachers once again. How can a parent participate at the school level?
Oh, there are so many options. Ask your child's teacher, can I help? What do you need? How can I help? How can I show up for you? Is number one. Hoping that we can have people into our classrooms next year. Also, it was mentioned earlier, the parent-teacher associations, great. There's also school-based planning teams, which typically meet about once a month, and parent voice on that is really important. And on that school-based planning team, we talk about curriculum and academic decision-making. So to have a parent be on that team is really important. Usually a lot of events that require planning and preparation, but parent involvement doesn't just mean showing up at the school. It also means showing up for your child at home.
And also keeping in mind too of the parents who are working during the day. Sometimes at night, I would actually have Zoom for one-on-one moments for the child and the parent to be in touch as well. I just think that's important because their times were different for their.
Great. Do you have guest readers, parent guest readers?
I do. Anytime somebody offers assistance in my room, it's a yes.
That's awesome. Awesome.
And again, this was my first year in kindergarten, so it was a different with COVID this year. So Jamie was saying not able to have the parents come in, but I would say open door policy to have them help.
Great, great. All right, let's see. How do parents receive communication from the school building?
That's again, so much of this varies, but from building to building. Ironically, I know many teachers in the district have used Seesaw for several years. So this was not our first experience with Seesaw. So that was a very common tool to communicate with families with prior to COVID. But many teachers send home newsletters via Backpack Express. And a lot of schools have Facebook pages too, which they blast information out, and programs also.
It's School 17. We have a Facebook page as well. And I would do a monthly newsletter. Seesaw was a great platform for me this year, especially when I transitioned from pre-K, like I said, to K. I actually had to teach myself more strategies on Seesaw, and it was a great way. But honestly, I know Miss Jamie mentioned earlier, please be in touch with your teacher. I have every parent on my phone, and they text me constantly. And so and we have office hours as well at this time. But I think that's really important that they keep in touch with us.
That is great. It's all about building those relationships, right, ladies? Yes. Okay. So what social emotional supports are available in the building for my child?
So I know kindergarten classrooms use a program called the Zones of Regulation, and it teaches children about a red zone, a yellow zone, a blue zone, and a green zone, and the different emotions contained within each of those zones. And the children are taught that those zones aren't bad or good, or feelings that should be attended to. And we talk about tools and strategies, because our goal is ultimately to kind of stay in that green zone. So we're in a good place and ready for learning. So that's the Zones of Regulation. And there's another program called We Thinkers that a lot of kindergarten teachers use, which teaches social thinking, like thinking thoughts and feeling feelings, how to think with your eyes, how to follow a group plan. And so that type of instruction is happening right in the classroom. And beyond that, I think Maureen probably could speak more to this because she does have connections in school buildings beyond pre-K. But my experience is our social workers are always readily available for us to reach out to for supports for us, so we can help children and families to get connected into the community as well.
Awesome, awesome.
Yes, I just wanted to also add that many of our schools have a program that's provided for students from kindergarten, usually until the second grade, and it's called Primary Project. It's a program that helps children with the adjustments to school. So for any little one who's having a particularly difficult time settling into the school routine, having a difficult time separating from home to school, these are some of the supports that I would say, I believe, is in most of our elementary schools. And depending on the student, depending on the school that the kindergartners will be going to, we also have some mental health therapists that are connected with the school-based health clinics. School 33 has a school-based health clinic with mental health therapists on staff. And if parents choose to enroll their students into the health clinic, there would also be the opportunity for some social emotional support with the therapists there. But like our kindergarten teacher shared, there is a lot of skill building in the area of social emotional development right in the classroom. If you do have concerns for your child, if possibly they're showing signs that they're anxious about school, if their sleep is interrupted, if they have any changes in their temperament, these are things that you can bring to your teachers and just start with them as your first contact. And many of our kindergarten teachers will be well versed in connecting you to the school social workers that would be available to provide additional resources, as well as connecting to health clinics, either in the school-based programs or within our larger community.
Excellent. I know that we have a platform on our main website as well for support services where families can go to receive a lot of support as well.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Maureen. Dr. Faye, did you want to say something? Or you okay? All right. Well, this concludes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I was just going to add that books
Okay.
are a good resource for getting kids to start talking about their feelings.
yes.
And so I think linking literacy to social emotional learning is a good start too for homes.
I totally agree. I mean, a book can go with anything and make your day. And a book can allow you to go all around the world, even though you're at home. A book can take you far and take you near. So we love reading our books. Even as adults, we love to read. So I totally agree, Dr. Faye. All right. Well, this concludes our workshop for our wonderful parents. And at this time, I'd like to have closing remarks from Dr. Hooper. And if she would come on the platform and say closing remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Eva. I would just like to say thank you for being here with us, whether you're here tonight or you have an opportunity to listen to this presentation at a later point, and to always be unafraid to reach out. If you have any questions about how to register for kindergarten or anything about the kindergarten program, feel comfortable reaching out. And I'll just ask Gladys if she would like to say a little goodbye to all our families as well.
Gladys, you're on mute, honey. You got to take yourself off mute.
That would help. So
That's
thank you
right.
all. Thank you all very much. It is so great to meet the staff from the Rochester City School District, some of the kindergarten teachers, people in charge of health, people in charge of placement, and learning more about the buses and about what some of the COVID restrictions that are still in place. Learning all those things it's so wonderful, and it's so great, and it helps us with that warm transition, that warm handoff. And so we hope that the parents really enjoyed it. There are some more pop-ups that are going to happen throughout the summer. So if you feel like you need more information, or you have friends or families that also have kids who may have missed this summit, there's opportunities during the summer to connect with RCSD as well. So thank you very much. Muchas gracias a todos.
All right, this concludes our event for this evening. We want to thank all of our presenters for taking time away from their family to come and present to you all. And we want to thank all of our parents who we know are the first teachers of our children. We cannot do this work without you, and we are here to support you. We are here to celebrate when your children step into the classroom for their first day of kindergarten. I remember when my children made that move, and I was so excited and so happy and nervous all at the same time. But they will be in good hands, and they will have a wonderful experience. It's all about building relationships and partnering with you, who are our parents, the heartbeat of the Rochester City School District. Have a wonderful evening. It was a pleasure serving you this evening. Take care.